Hello, everyone. We will just wait a few minutes for the room to fill up, and then we will get going. Welcome this morning. We'll be doing the first Ask Me Anything session of two for the new MSI Space Accelerator. My name is Asher from Starburst. We'll have both NASA and JPL representatives on the line to talk about the challenge. This will be recorded and posted to the Accelerator website, to which we will post a link in the chat as well. So for those of you that are probably going to view this afterwards, no worries if you're not here right now. It'll be posted for you, as well as all the associated questions. Today's really meant to be both an introduction and an information session on what is the program, what are we doing here, what was the inspiration, and how can you get involved. And so I think without further ado, we'll kick off. As I mentioned, my name is Asher Kraut from the Starburst team, helping support both NASA Science Mission Directorate, Earth Science Technology Office, the MUREP Office of STEM Engagement, as well as JPL on launching what's really going to be a super exciting initiative called the Minority Serving Institution Space Accelerator. We have folks on the line who are going to tell you all about it, but in a nutshell, NASA is looking to engage communities that previously might not have been represented in some of their previous innovation initiatives. We're looking specifically for faculty and students at minority serving institutions around the United States that can contribute really novel concepts towards solving tangible, real technology gaps and hurdles that NASA and JPL have. Both here on the ground as well as in space. And so today we'll talk more about what to expect if you're participating. It's going to be both a white paper response as well as a live pitch event. Selectees will have the opportunity to win prize funding and participate in a Starburst Accelerator program, where they'll be exposed to really a world of both the venture capital community as well as other startup founders and corporate and government stakeholders, NASA, JPL, and learn a little bit more about how to create a thriving business in this new space economy. So I think without further ado, I will invite Mike Seablum from NASA's Earth Science Technology Office to share his video and unmute himself. And tell us a bit more, Mike, about why you guys decided to launch this program, what it means to NASA broadly, and some of your objectives and goals.
Okay, thanks, Asher. I really appreciate it. Like Asher mentioned, I'm Mike Seablum. I'm the Senior Strategist for NASA's Earth Science Technology Office. And I'd like to thank you for your interest in our Minority Serving Institution Space Accelerator Prize Challenge. Our agency invests in new technologies in all of our research divisions: heliophysics, astrophysics, planetary science as well. These investments are critical to enable bolder science missions in the future and to ensure that they're affordable and can be executed without undue risk. Autonomy is and will be, to a greater extent in the future, part of many of our science missions. In Earth science, we're in the process of implementing what we're calling the new observing strategy, in which our satellite observing system assets, along with airborne and other ground-based in situ sensors, are virtually connected to create a highly coordinated virtual instrument. The observing system would self-adapt to examine anomalies or other features of interest in the atmosphere, in the oceans, or on the surface. And right now we're in the process of testing such a system. And we're excited about the possibilities to enable goal-oriented science discoveries. This type of sensor web system would also be useful for deep space planetary rovers that might possibly be exploring icy moons, looking for life, and would have limited contact with mission controllers on the Earth. So autonomy, the ability to be curious in an autonomous sense, would be very important. As these autonomous systems become more widespread and become more complex, we believe there's a need for monitoring the behavior and the overall performance of such systems by other autonomous systems, which would provide, in addition, self-healing capabilities. So we're seeking new ideas and new perspectives on these types of problems. In speaking with the leaders of our Minority University Research Education Project, or MUREP, I became aware of the broad research efforts that are ongoing in autonomous systems that are available from MSIs. Our goal is to remove as many barriers as possible in order for you to bring your ideas to us. We've created a very straightforward process that eliminates the time and effort of a formal proposal. We ask only for a 5-page white paper that discusses your idea, your concept. And if yours is one of the top 10 papers selected by our judges, we'll invite you to our live pitch event. And if you're one of the pitch event winners, you'll receive $50,000 in prize funding. And like Asher mentioned, we'll be linking you to an accelerator program that will help you commercialize your ideas. And I just disappeared. So anyway, that's a little bit of a background on our program. I'll turn it back over to Asher.
Thanks, Mike. Awesome insight. We've just gone ahead and shared the program schedule here that Mike was touching on. So for those of you watching here and listening in and afterwards, today, we are in this first Ask Me Anything session. You're learning from Mike. Soon you'll learn from Tom from JPL and Elizabeth from our team here at Starburst, all about the program. We'll host another one 2 weeks from today, and we will close the applications at the end of this month. As Mike mentioned, a team of NASA representatives will evaluate those 5-page white papers. Guidelines on what to submit and how to submit are all on the challenge website. Encourage you to go there. And the select group of finalists will get an opportunity to pitch live in the top half of May for an opportunity to win funding and a spot in the accelerator. So maybe without further ado, Tom, I would love to invite you to come share with us JPL's perspective on joining the program here, supporting this initiative that Mike and team we're excited to launch, and what it means to innovation at JPL.
Super. Thank you very much, Asher. And hello, Mike, and hello, everyone out there. I'm Tom Swick at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. I lead the space technology work at the lab. So we're looking at what's going on in the developing projects following to the ones we have. So we're looking down the road 5 to 10 years at the tech that's needed to continue the exploration you guys hear about. Autonomy is key to that future. Just following on what Mike said, I'm sure you guys have followed Perseverance. It's on Mars now. We just met our first year's anniversary of landing. And so Perseverance is healthy, it's moving along, it's exploring every day. Almost always Perseverance operates in a scripted mode. And I'm sure if you guys are out there in autonomy and building systems and studying systems, teaching about them, you understand that in a scripted mode, you have to look forward, you have to use all the sensors, look at the graphics and the pictures and the overhead imagery that we have to decide where we're going to travel that day. And so there's an event that goes from taking data from Perseverance, bringing it back to Earth, having teams look at it and say, we want to travel out to that rock out there, and then come up with a scripted sequence for Perseverance to actually travel there. We're advancing past that today. There's things called fast drive and other approaches which allow driving of the rover for longer periods of time. And so that's moving along. I'm sure you've also, hopefully you've seen Ingenuity, the helicopter that we brought. The first big goal, of course, was flying on another planet. Ingenuity dropped off, and the original goals were a small number of flights that would go up and just prove the flight. Go up, travel for a few minutes and bring it down. It's very small batteries, limited time that you could be in flight. We're now moving on. That was a great success. We learned how to fly on Mars. It's 1% of the atmosphere of Earth, so that you don't have, all that pressure underneath you to move. It's very small, so you don't have a lot of power. So we learned all that in our first year of operations. I think we're on the 19th flight right now. And the next step is to fly the helicopter ahead of the rover, looking at possible scientific points of interest, and bring that information back along with the information from Perseverance, and then decide on how to move forward. So now we have two joint, we have the two different robots working together. And now we're looking forward. Of course, we could think about how autonomously they could be working together, rather than bringing all this data back to Earth and having a day or two sequence to get the data back up and get the sequences up. So that's the sort of things we're looking at. The next major step from the tech side is something called Cadre. We're going to bring 3 or maybe probably hopefully 4 very small robots, wheeled mobility robots to the moon for a tech demo. And we're going to drive them using what we call multi-agent autonomy, rather than one rover driving and mapping and sensing. We're going to have 3 or 4 driving jointly, mapping and sensing jointly. So you can do things together and have scientific measurements that operate jointly. So with that, those are the directions we're going. Earth science, as Mike mentioned, is at JPL has a strong role in the climate prediction by using our instruments to sense the planet. And the planet's dynamic, so you want to be able to dynamically change your measurements in an autonomous manner and not fail, which is the part about an overdog, a watchdog that's going to make sure that autonomy is operating when you hit radiation, when you hit things that happens in space that doesn't happen on the ground. So for this program, we're very excited because we've done some accelerators in the past at JPL, and we find them very helpful. We find the ideas that come in, the people, the energy coming in very helpful in our role as part of NASA and exploration. And where we'll come into play from JPL is in the mentorship role. When some of you guys are in the accelerator, or even if you're not, and we get a relationship going, folks at JPL, domain experts in autonomy, in system engineering, in the science exploration, will be involved in working with you to mentor along, to have discussions, to bring the requirements and needs along, challenges that we have, so you guys out there that are in the program can really have something to put your teeth into and some place to look forward. So we have a bunch of people at JPL that will be interested in getting involved and talking to you, and we look forward to the program moving forward.
Awesome, thanks, Tom. And maybe we've talked a lot about the program, both in your thoughts there as well as Mike's. Elizabeth from our team is here, who's going to be the program manager for the MSI Space Accelerator. So Elizabeth, would love to hand it over to you to kind of give an overview on what should a potential entrepreneur participating expect. What kind of people are they going to meet? Exposure, lessons they're going to learn. Would love to hear more.
Absolutely. So the program will be a mix of lectures, workshops, and individual mentorship, both with our team, other industry leaders, and NASA JPL. Our goal is to really help you solidify the business plans that you have and develop your technical roadmap and understand how to talk about what you're doing to various different audiences. So we'll talk about other opportunities within the government and how to prepare proposals and pitch to investors. And we'll address some of the best practices with forming a company and leadership as well. So we do this by bringing in a lot of industry leaders from throughout different parts of the aerospace industry and from the business community, so that you not only get to hear from some of the people who are best in class and experts in these areas, but who also have a proven track record of success. And it gives you an opportunity to expand your network. The actual Accelerator course is 10 weeks. We assume it'll be around 10 hours a day, perhaps more than that, as you do some of the work on 10 hours a week. I'm sorry, 10 hours a week, as you do some of the back end work on this to continue to work on your business plan and develop the technical roadmap. But our goal is to support you past the end of that 10 weeks through the network that we help you build during this time.
That's awesome. What can you share more on, like, what does a potential success coming out of that program look like? Let's say you're an entrepreneur and you or you're a student at an MSI and you submit to this accelerator, you get selected, you participate in the 10 weeks. What kind of results might you expect either at the end of that program or shortly thereafter?
Ideally, we've helped you really identify the specific way that you can shape your technology to address the specific problem that we're seeking to solve here. It is a common struggle in startups for entrepreneurs that there is a technology that is developed and then it is built out pretty thoroughly before getting into market. So our goal is to really help you understand what the market needs are and build something that has direct application. So ideally, at the end of this program, you feel more confident in what problems the market is seeing and how your technology can help address those things, and how to assemble a team and build a company if this is something that you want to continue to develop. And that is our hope through this. And as well, we're hoping to make it easier for you to raise the follow-on investment that may be needed to grow the company.
Thanks. Yeah, maybe Mike and Tom would love to ask you guys that same question from a different lens. Like, what does success look like to JPL and Esto broadly with this program? Let's say you find a solution you really like. What does the ideal outcome look like?
Go ahead, Mike.
I'll defer to you.
I thought you were just on mute in our Zoom world. I can get started. We getting engaged with the entrepreneur, with the company, we found to be sort of a long-term relationship. It's not going to be 10 weeks and we get something and we don't see each other anymore. We'll probably build a relationship over the 10 weeks with the entrepreneurial team, with some folks, with some individualized folks at JPL who have the right sort of background and experience and drive to work with the entrepreneur, perhaps the company that forms out of that. And then so success then is actually maintaining this for a couple years to see where it's going, give feedback, and ideally, it's not obvious that it can happen, but there's some product at the end. There's actually maybe a piece of software. There's a class of algorithm. There's some autonomous system or even some thinking of a different approach that we're just not doing, which then transfers into NASA. And which then, that in some manner, all that information and value transfers back to the company. So we're looking to grow the field of people and ideas that's available. And really, you have to think about a little bit about the long term. It's going to take a few years for that to happen and keeping that relationship going.
Mike?
Yeah, and I'll just add, what is another thing that's different about this program? Usually in our technology programs, we put out a solicitation, we'll ask for, requirements to meet a certain need. what we're trying to do here is reach out to the MSI community and understand what's going on. And you bring your ideas to us. And then we figure out how we might use your ideas. So it's a little bit different. This isn't a direct procurement. And then our hope is that, like Tom was saying, the hope is that we can help you commercialize your ideas. It won't happen in every case. If your ideas make their way into our missions and it's not commercialized, that's okay. But we want to try as hard as we can to bring in the venture community, to get as much participation as possible. And if we can get an idea commercialized, it's a huge success for us. So it's a new goal that we're trying to focus on.
Great insight. Really good to hear. And maybe we'll open it up now for, I'll ask some questions we've got through the website prior to today that maybe Mike or Tom, you guys can answer, as well as maybe some for you, Elizabeth. Is there specific technology readiness requirements for proposed concepts? Do submitters have to have already achieved a TRL level to be relevant for selection here?
So I'll take that one. I don't think we specified a TRL. So again, we're casting a wide net here. We're looking for all kinds of ideas. The missions could be far off into the future. They could be nearer term, like what Tom was saying. For the types of missions that, if you're talking about nearer term planetary explorers or nearer term sensor web applications, they would be higher TRL, but we're not limiting. There's no limit on the, there's no range of TRLs that we're specifying here.
Okay. Next question is, can any university participate in this competition? Who is the audience here, and what are the responses limited to?
So the prize challenge is for U.S. minority serving institutions.
Okay. So U.S. based.
Yes, and they would be official U.S. minority serving institutions.
Got it. Are applicants going to be receiving feedback on first round white papers? Let's say maybe you're not selected and you still have a decent idea and you might want to engage with NASA. Is there a feedback process?
Yes, we would provide, if they're upon request, we will provide a debriefing.
Okay. And then maybe this one for you, Elizabeth, more details around the logistics on the accelerator. So if you are selected, what does the time commitment look like? Is every session mandatory? And maybe if you could share more light on what a participant should realistically expect.
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, it's roughly around 10 hours a week is what we call the commitment. It may be a little bit more or less than that, but that includes somewhere between 2 to 5 hours a week of lecture, workshop time, as well as things like pitch practices to prepare you to speak to investors, and one-on-one mentorship. And so you'll meet, probably every week. We need to figure out what this exact schedule looks like, and I'll defer to you guys on how often the participants will be meeting with NASA, JPL, and what that technology development looks like.
Okay, thanks. And maybe last but not least, Mike, we're getting a lot of questions on the pitch day itself. Is that going to be in person? Is that a virtual event? Can you share more light on planning for that?
So the intention at the moment is for a live event in Washington at the Webb Auditorium at NASA headquarters. Given the uncertainties with COVID, I don't want to rule out the possibility of another variant coming along and messing everything up again. We are able to handle a hybrid event. So the intention again is to bring the teams to DC for the event, and it would also be available live streaming. It's also possible it would be virtual. So I can only tell you at the moment, our intentions are for a live event.
Fair enough. Sounds good. Well, without further ado, I think we'll open it up to some of the participants on the line. If you guys have questions, feel free to submit those in the chat or the Q&A. We're happy to answer those live for you. As a reminder for both everyone viewing now and later, this will be recorded on the challenge website. The challenge website is going to be posted again in the chat, but it is NASA-space-accelerator. And so really looking forward to seeing some of those applications start to come in with the deadline about 3 weeks away from today. So not seeing any questions come up just yet. We can give it a few more minutes, but anything else, maybe Mike or Tom or Elizabeth, if you guys want potential applicants to know that might see this on the website later. It could be words of inspiration, could be cautions, clarifications, anything.
Yeah, I do have one other thing I wanted to add. After this event, we're going to do the pitch event. We're going to make maybe 3 awards. Depending on funding, there might be more. In 2023, there will be a formal solicitation from our Advanced Information Systems Technology program the awards there will be up to $1 million a year, and autonomy will be very likely one of the topics. So our hope is that for the participants going through this program, it will prepare them to write a formal proposal to that program, which would then give you, far more in the way of resources. Our hope is that the $50,000 would be used by the institutions to bring a student on board, but you can use the funding any way you like. But we're hoping that a student would be brought on board and then would be directed, would participate in activities leading up toward a formal proposal. So if you have any questions about that program, about AIST, I'd be happy to address them.
Tom, anything on your end?
Yeah, I'll add. We have broad interactions with the academic community through JPL, various means, and we find it very important to work with universities, students, professors, their research areas, because it's just very valuable to us over time, especially in an area like autonomy, in an area like overseeing autonomy, which is at the edge, and JPL is not key to that area today, but it's going to be essential for us in the future. So we look forward to working with the universities and again building that relationship, and maybe it's simply through the research program if you have one. It's through the student program. It's through some ideas and discussions you have depending on what you're doing at the university, and we would be happy to be engaged in that. And that's another thing that we look forward to in these programs, especially coming from academia.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone. Elizabeth, I don't know if you had anything else to add.
I was just going to also mention that the community aspect of programs like this is really important and very rewarding. And I really encourage you, even if you feel like you have a broad familiarity with the topic area and some of the opportunities in the industry, to take this opportunity to meet other people and connect with people who are going through similar experiences and really build that network that you need. Starburst has kind of a very unique global network through the many years that we have spent working with different public and private agencies and entrepreneurs, and it's a really unique opportunity to get connected into that large network.
Well, terrific. I'm not seeing any questions still, so I think with that, we can close for the day. As a reminder, this is being recorded, will be posted as well as the transcript. There is also a question form on our website. So should you have a question, maybe that comes to mind as you're viewing this later on, we can get that answered in the next session as well, and send you an email. So thank you, everyone.
Yeah, sure. There's something in the chat.
Yeah.
I see it now. Not sure it's an actual question. It seems more of a sentence, but the person is a founder of an open innovation marketplace. They ran a challenge with NASA, had some success, and they're a marketplace where you can discover innovative ideas. If there's a question, I encourage you to ask us that question, but seems it's just the information. Can they participate? So can a platform that is a marketplace for identifying solutions participate in this challenge, or are you looking for something that is more of the actual technical solution itself?
So I guess the question, are you a faculty or staff member of minority serving institution?
If suppose they were, it says they've partnered with institutions, but let's suppose that they were, would that be permissible?
We probably have to take that offline, but the legal aspects of this, you have to be a member, a faculty or an employee of a minority serving institution. So working with the institution would not suffice.
Got it. They say thanks. And apologies for the oversight there. Well, if no more questions, I think we've covered a really good round of the basics and introduction to the challenge. Encourage everyone to join us again in a few weeks for the next Ask Me Anything, where we'll address final questions you might have prior to submission, and we can take it from there. So I want to thank everyone for joining, Mike, Tom, Elizabeth, for your time, and looking forward to next steps. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, and take care.